Hi guys, welcome to lesson 7.11, day 1. I can understand decimals greater than 1. We're going to start by looking at our anchor chart. In this picture, we have our place value chart. We have the hundreds, tens, ones, and then our decimal places, tenths and hundredths. One thing I want you to notice is if we start with the hundredths place, it increases times 10 to go to the tenths place. And then from the tenths place to the ones place, it's times another 10. And then from the ones to the tens is another 10. And from the tens to the hundreds is another times 10. Now the reverse is also true. If we start at the hundreds place and divided by 10, we would get 10, which would be our tens place. And then if we divide it by 10 again, we would get 1. Divide it by 10 again, and you would get 1/10. Divide it by 10 again, and you would get 1/100. Each place value is related to the one next to it. Oops, I need to erase. That's not the eraser. Okay. Okay, it's not erasing. But anyway, let's look at something else. So thinking about our place value chart, we are going to change mixed numbers to decimals. So if we have the fraction 1 3/10 and we change it to a decimal, we're going to take that mixed number apart. We have 1 whole, so it's going to go to our ones place. And then we have the fraction 3/10. That literally means in our tenths place, we have 3. Let's look at our next example. 1 3/100. Again, we have 1 whole, so it goes to our ones place. Then we have 3/100. The 3 goes all the way over here in our hundredths place, and we put a 0 for the tenths because there's no tenths in this particular number. Also, don't forget your decimal point. Don't forget that tricky 0. Numbers like this, where they don't have any tenths, are going to have a 0. So here we have our 2 wholes, which go in the ones place, and our 3/100, which go in the hundredths place. Let's do some practices together. In this example, we have 2 7/100. So I'm going to think about my place value chart. And I'm going to have, first of all, 2 wholes. I'm going to put a decimal point to separate my whole number from the fraction. Now this fraction has 7/100. That means there are no tenths. So to show that, I'm going to put a 0. Now for my hundredths place, I just write the 7. This decimal would be pronounced 2 7/100. Where you see the decimal point, you would say the word and. Let's do another one. Okay, in this example, we have 12 wholes. So I'm going to put a 12. I'm going to write my decimal point to separate my whole number from my fraction. This time, we have 2 tenths. So for our tenths, I just write a 2. I don't need anything to the right of the 2 because I don't need to show any hundredths or thousandths. We haven't talked about thousandths yet. This decimal would be pronounced 12 and 2 hundredths or tenths. Remember to say and for your decimal point. All right, here's another example. So we have 30 wholes and 12 hundredths. Okay, this one's a little tricky. So I know my next place value would be tenths, and I don't have any tenths. So I would put a 0, and I have 12 hundredths. But I can't put 2 digits in one place value. Don't be fooled by problems like this. Still going to have your decimal point. You have 12 hundredths. That means you still have a tenth. It literally looks like this. We have 1/10 and 2 hundredths. If I think of it like money, this would be $30.12, which would be 1 dime and 2 pennies. Think of the dime just like your tenth, and think of the pennies like your hundredths. Okay guys, today you learned all about decimals that are greater than 1.